Hi guys, welcome back. So I just want to say I did my makeup several hours ago, so if it's looking like a little bit ratchet, like that's why. Like my eyelashes are getting a little clumpy now after a couple of hours of wear. Um, but I just have a lot to do today, so I did my makeup and I just got right into my like errands and things like that, so I haven't had an opportunity to film until now. But with that being said, this is going to be another Pan Project introduction video. Um, I'm going to do an entire video talking about what I've learned so far from project panning, and so I don't want to get too repetitive, so I'll just tell you guys like in a really short version right now, kind of my thoughts throughout doing my pan those eyeshadows roulette style project pan. I'm really torn about that one because I really like watching that kind of video. But now that I'm doing it myself, I'm realizing that it's making me not enjoy using my makeup as much. And I'm almost at the point now where I'm just gonna throw in the towel and stop doing it and replace it with this project pan, which is the Pi Pan and Everything project pan. And the reason why I think this one will be a better fit for me is because, firstly, well, actually, I guess the only reason really, is that I want to be able to decide what I want to use. And with the roulette one, it's really fun when you get to like draw random numbers. But then if you get stuck with like some shades that you really, really hate using, like I did, it just makes you not even want to, like at all. And also I feel like a lot of my makeup collection is very new. So when I draw a bunch of shadows that I've literally only like swatched once, it feels like I'm never gonna actually hit pan. Like it's gonna take me like the entire year, the entire project's worth of time to hit pan on some of those shades, and it's just not gonna be very exciting for you guys when every single update video is like no change, no change, no new shades, blah 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 blah. So I think I'm going to just officially end that one. I know I literally only did like one update for it, but it's just like really not working for me. I'm still going to continue doing the Pan to Repurpose challenge with my tin packaging Too Faced palettes because I'm still working on that. But the main project pan that I want to focus on for the year, like primarily, is going to be Pan and Everything Pi. So here's my kind of rules for Pi. The main thing is I don't want it to be randomly generated anymore. I guess I could still call it Pan Those Eyeshadows almost, but like the other main difference I guess between this project and that one is that I'm going to include other things other than eyeshadows. So I'm not going to include any complexion products or lip stuff, basically just anything that's a powder. So my version of Pi is going to be a little different than some of the other YouTubers that are doing this project, because a lot of them are including lip products and like things in like jars and things like that. But for me, it's just things that are in a pan, and that's why, as you can see behind me, I've got like a pretty big mess going on because I just went through and tallied up everything, every makeup item that I have in a pan, and I counted up every single pan so that I knew what I was going to be starting with. So my tally is pretty long. It's 2 pages of numbers here, but I've already done all the math. And basically, I am starting out this project with 719 powder products. 719 powder products. And of those 719, I only have 8 so far that have pan in them. So that's where the starting point for this is 8 pans out of 719. Now I would like to get a lot more by the end of 2020, and then hopefully continue this maybe into 2021. We'll see how it goes. I'm really hoping this is a better panning experience for me than the first one that I tried with the roulette style. Like it just wasn't working for me. Like I just ended up not using the things I was working on and therefore not making any progress, and like, yeah, anyway. So let me just start off by showing you the ones that already have pan in them. That one doesn't. Just so you know, like, where we're starting from, I guess. So all of my everything that's back there does not have any pan in it. So these are the 8 pans that I can show you guys. The first one is from the oldest palette that I own. Well, the first 4, I should say. It's from the very first palette that I ever owned that wasn't like, I had a couple of drugstore like quads and stuff like in high school and stuff before this, but this was the first like mid-range one that I ever owned. It is the Too Faced Naked Eye palette. And as you can see, I have 4 pans in here. So one is actually a completely used up shadow. Sorry, that light is a bit overkill. One is completely used up. The shade Lap Dance is completely gone. So I still count that as a pan, even though it's completely empty. And then Pink Cheeks, Satin Sheets, and Unmentionables all have pan in there as well. So those are the first 4 that I've hit pan on. And I do want to mention before I move on from this palette that like this one I'd really like to try and focus on, as you'll see when I decide on the shades that I am still going to choose 8 shades every month that I'm going to like really be focusing on for the month. But if I end up hitting pan on something else instead, like obviously that still counts as well. So I can venture outside of the 8 focus shades, but just for like the, I guess, enjoyment of viewing these videos, especially if you watch in order, like from this intro video all the way to the current, whatever's current, like right now this is the current one, but you know, I'm thinking ahead to like a year from now. If you're watching this in a playlist or something, I want you to maybe see me select some shades every month that at least I'm going to try and work on along the way. So some of them are going to come from this palette at the beginning, at least, because I really would like to declutter this soon. It's so old. I've had it since I was in high school, and I'm 27, so at least a decade. A lot of people say you can't use eyeshadows after like 1 or 2 years or something like that. I think that's bullshit. I keep using it unless it's gonna give, like, if I start getting eye irritation or like infections or anything like that from it, or if it starts to like smell funny, then I will get rid of it. But so far none of that's been happening, and the shades in here still perform like pretty well for considering how old it is. So that's the first 4 pans. The next one is the Tarte Party Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush. A lot of people have this guy because I'm pretty sure it was like a birthday gift at Sephora for a while. I know that's how I got it. But as you can see, I have hit pan in this blush pretty significantly. This is actually the blush I use pretty much every single day. Although now that I'm doing this pan and everything project, I might put this on the back burner for a while because I have already hit pan in it, so I'm kind of like rolling it out of the project. I mean, if I want to use it, I'm still gonna, but like I've got a few other blushes that I might switch to now. So that's that one. And then the next one is this MAC Fabulousness palette. It's a 5-pan palette, very old as well. This was also from later in high school, so it's also getting really old. And as you can see, I've hit that 1 pan in there. In that middle shade. There we go. But I still have 4 to go, so I am probably going to hopefully focus on some of these as well, because it would be really nice to shrink my collection a little bit. So if I can get rid of these 2 really, really old things, that would be fantastic. Next, and these are like pretty much the 4 oldest palettes in my collection, so that's not really, doesn't surprise me too much. But the next one that I have a pan in is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. So as you can see, that big pink shade at the top here has a small bit of pan in it. So that is the one from this one. And then the Too Faced Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette. I have hit pan in Nougat, which is this shade right there. And it's funny, when I hit that pan, it looks like a pretty big, I don't know how you would describe it, but a big like pan is showing. And that actually happened all in one go. Like literally the time that I dipped my brush in and first saw pan, I was like, oh, I finally have like baby pan. And then it like, I dipped my brush in like once or twice more and it expanded out like quite a bit. So I think that's just maybe a pretty loosely pressed shade. But that is the last one. So those are the 8 pans I've hit. I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to hit pan again, but I will roll my sleeves up and swatch the 8 shades that I would like to focus on for the next month. So I'm just going to pause here, kind of give it some thought for a minute here, look at all my palettes again, and decide which 8 shades I'd like to focus on for this first month, and I will get right back to you. Okay, sorry about that, guys. If the lighting looks a little different, it's because while I was playing around deciding on which shades to focus on for the first month, the sun came out super bright and was blowing everything out, like everything was like glowing, so I had to close my blind and now it looks a little bit dark, but that's just the way it goes. So I have picked 8 shades that I would like to focus on for the first month. Now, if I hit pan on some of these, obviously I will then roll them out, but I can still choose, like I'm setting my own rules because I just felt way too trapped in the other project pans that, well, the other project pan I was doing before, and it just made me feel like even when I was bored of something, like I had to keep going with it and stuff, and I'm not doing that this time. I'm just not. So basically, at the end of this month when I do my first update video, I will tell you guys if I'm going to be keeping that same shade in the project. Obviously, if I hit pan, it'll be out anyway, but if I don't hit pan and I want to continue with the same shade, I can. If I want to switch it out for a new one, I'm going to allow myself to do that. So yeah, let me just kind of explain my choices here. So the lighting is kind of shitty for this now, but basically, so I have 4, how do I do this the best way? I have 4 matte shades and 4 shimmer shades that I'm going to be working on. So let's start with the mattes. So the first matte I picked actually was, wow, it would be really great if this camera would focus and if I wasn't sitting in the shade. Let's try, let's try and, all right. So the first really dark matte shade that you see on the far side closest to my fingers, so that is, it's not entirely a matte shade. As you can see when I turn my hand a little bit, there are like little tiny bits of glitter in there, but it's basically like a matte with like just a couple flecks of glitter. And that is from this little CoverGirl palette. It is the darkest shade here in this corner. This one right here. So the reason I picked that one actually was it was one of the later ones that one of the last ones I picked, and it's mainly because it goes really well with this other matte shade. So I thought if I'm doing a look with this matte shade and then I want something to like deepen the crease with, then I will have that darker one. So that's kind of why I threw that in there. Also, I like that the pan is really small and I want to really feel a sense of momentum going into this project, because I don't want to, you know, like if I had chosen everything that had like gigantic pans, then I feel like, again, I would feel that sense of like defeat if I wasn't getting anywhere with it. Whereas I feel like this one, even a couple times using that shade, it's so small that I think I'll at least see a dip. So that'll be kind of good. This is actually a brand new palette that had never been opened until now. So I just opened it, and so the shadows are in really good condition right now. They're not dried out at all. They're really nice and soft. So that's going to be kind of fun. So the next shade right beside that one is kind of like almost exactly the color of my skin. It's right where that one wrinkle is on my skin. Try and get it to focus here. But it's like that sort of skin tone color right there. And the reason I chose that one, let me tell you what it is first of all. It is from the Tarte BU palette, and it is just the top shade right here, which is called Be Positive. So that's that one. Now, why did I pick this one? Number one, it's one of my favorite shades to reach for to just cover my entire lid after I put my primer on to set my primer. So it's one that I know I'll get a lot of use out of because I can use it as a base for pretty much any look, especially a neutral look or a warm tone look, because it's got a little bit of like yellowish undertones to it, I guess, but even it's so subtle that even with like a colorful look, I feel like I could still use that and it would be fine. Also, I wanted to make sure that I didn't feel bored doing this project like I did last time, because I was never getting any shades from my new palettes, right? And like I've recently gotten a lot of new palettes, and I feel like if I didn't include some shades from my new palettes, I would just start to feel like, why am I boring myself with all my old makeup when I have so much new stuff I want to play with and stuff? So this will allow me to reach for this newer palette a little bit more often. So that's why I threw in that shade. Next beside that, you'll see there's like a matte white. Okay, let's focus. I don't know if it will, but it's a matte white shade right here, and then a taupe right beside that. So those two matte shades, the white here and the taupe here, those are both from this guy. They are the shades In the Buff, which is obviously this white, and then this one, Like a Virgin, right here. I know I'm holding it upside down, but you get the idea. So it's this shade here and this shade. And the reason I chose those two is, number one, the In the Buff shade, again, is one that I can use all over my lid right after to set my primer. And I feel like I go through those shades a little bit faster. So I feel like it'll be nice to have one that I can kind of really feel a sense of progress with. And then Like a Virgin, it's one that I've used quite a lot already. So if I can get it to focus, you'll be able to see that there's already a pretty good dip going in that one. I mean, it doesn't really translate on camera too well, but there is, like, take my word for it, there's like a pretty big dip in there. And there is actually a little bit of a dip in the Buff as well. So the reason I included those two, like I said before, I want to kind of get this one out of my collection as soon as possible. But on top of that, I chose those two shades specifically in here because I felt like I have the biggest dip in them so far without actually hitting pan. So I feel, again, like it's something that I can maybe achieve in a month of using this. Like I'll probably hit pan on it and then be able to roll it out and see my number of pans, you know, going up pretty quickly. So that was one thing I really considered when I decided which shades to pick, was which ones are getting close to being used up, but at the same time, let's add in a few new pieces from my collection to just like keep me interested, you know? So the next four are shimmer shades. Gets a little hard to see on the way I've swatched it, but there is a purple shimmer, and it's honestly, it's so beautiful, and it's not coming through on camera just because my lighting right now isn't very good, but it's this like grayish purple shimmer right here. This one right here. So that is from the Urban Vices palette. This was gifted to me from my mom because she didn't want it anymore, and I've actually never used it yet. But I did notice that, as you can see, that purple shade, it's Hoodoo is what it's called. It's right here. If you look at it closely, there's a pretty big dip in it already. It looks like a chunk actually kind of like fell out of it. It was like that when my mom gave it to me. So either she used that shade quite a bit or it broke or something. So I thought, again, this is one where a little bit of the progress is already done for me, and I feel like I can get it down a little further as well. But not only that, but it is the most interesting shade in my opinion out of this quad. So I decided to put that in there as well. And then going off of that color choice from that kind of shimmery indigo right here, I decided if I'm doing a purple look, what would I want to pair with that? And the one that immediately came to mind was this shade right here. This is from the Violets by Juvia's Place. It is the dark shimmer shade right in the middle down here. As you can see, I've used it a little bit, but the pans are quite large in the Juvia's Place palettes, so it's going to take a really, and I don't really need to, maybe I do if you're watching this like way after the fact, but I should maybe explain that this is a newer addition to my collection. I just got it like maybe a month ago. So this one, I did put it in as a focus shade just because I felt like it went with the rest of this color story going on right now. And because it's one of my new ones that I'm really excited to use. But do I think I'm gonna realistically hit pan on it in the first month of this project? No, probably not. But I might make a significant dip, and if I'm really enjoying working with it, I might leave it in for another month. So we'll see how that goes. I'm really liking this palette so far, and I love purples. So that one was like a no-brainer. Once I included this purple, I was like, okay, I gotta get something from this palette so I can feel inspired to use this one. Because it's so new and I just love using it. So next is the shimmery white color. Second from the end on this end. Let's see if I'll get it to focus. I don't know. Sorry, my swatching technique is like the freaking worst. Next time I'm going to do them on the front of my arm. I don't know why I did it on the back. But yeah, it's a shimmery white kind of snow shade right there. And that is from the Quo Beauty Party Perfect eyeshadow palette. This is also new to my collection and I'm really loving it so far, so I was really excited to include one in there. And it is the shade Tinsel, which is right here. So once again, like, because this is so new, there's literally almost no dip in it. I've only used it like once or twice, so I probably won't hit pan this month. But the reason I included it was because I think it makes a really pretty inner corner highlight shade, that white. And I thought it went well with the purples, and like those three together, just like those three shimmers can make a really nice look on their own. So that's why I included that one. And then the last shade on here is really hard to see. It's very like subtle. It's right, oh man, I did not do this properly. It's right on the end and it's kind of like a skin tone, like champagne shimmer color. It's like so hard to see, but it is very, very reflective in the light. Oh, there we go. The very last one there. Come on, camera. Anyway, it's like right there. Anyway, so what that guy is it's this little Sally Girl single shadow. I picked this for a couple of reasons. One, it could also work as an inner corner highlight, so that's good. Number two, I've made a lot of progress on this shade already. It's not like a huge dip, but it's definitely there. Let's see if I can, come on. There we go. So it used to have this wavy imprint on it, and the imprint's almost totally gone. So I have been using it quite a bit. And the third reason I included it is because this is actually, believe it or not, I know you wouldn't think so based on my crappy swatch, but this is actually my favorite shade to use as a highlight. So I actually rarely use this as an eyeshadow, even though that's technically what it is. I use it as my highlighting shade. I like a really subtle highlight. I don't like a blinding highlight. That's just my personal preference. So this is kind of my go-to highlight, like on a day-to-day basis. And that's how I've used it so far, and I've already made quite significant progress on it. So I just think it would be perfect to include a powder product that isn't necessarily only going to work on eyes. I thought about putting a blush in there, but I decided this one has more progress on it so far, so I might get a little further with this one. Yeah, so those are the 8 shades that I'm going to like be focusing on, but obviously I'm going to be using other shades from my collection to complement those, and I might end up hitting pan on something else first. So all of that, and for like everything I hit pan on, as well as an update on those 8 specific shadows, will be coming in a month from now, and we'll see how I do on this project pan. I really hope it goes better than the first one. The first one was just, I don't know, like, it was just, I was getting bad luck with the roulette, and I really prefer to be able to like just decide for myself, because that's part of what I love about makeup, is being able to like get inspired and choose what I want to wear. Yeah, so that's about it for this video, you guys. Stay tuned in a month from now for the update, and I will see you guys in the next video. The next one will be tomorrow because I post every single day, so subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.